Hey guys, welcome back to more relationship stories. In this video, my ridiculously stupid mother-in-law tried to cancel my wedding just because I am Japanese. Here is what happened. Let's dive right into the video. And the first one is titled, "No, I won't change my name. My 39 female ex-husband, 38 male, has been dating this woman for 3 years. For context, she is 24 years old. My ex and I were married for 12 years and have been divorced for 5. We have 3 kids together who are now teenagers. My ex and I got divorced because we were young when we met and got married, and we grew apart as people. It was a mutual decision and we agreed our kids came first and have always co-parented very well. This has been the case up until last year when his girlfriend moved in with him. Previously, we would do holidays and kids' birthdays together. Now, when she is present, they won't even sit near me at our kids' sporting events. I've always been nice to this woman, despite my kids expressing they don't like her and they feel their dad acts differently when she is around. My ex told me early on that she was not a fan of me and felt I intimidated her. When I asked him for examples of how I intimidated her, he said it is my fact that I have resting bitch face and it makes her uncomfortable. My ex and her got engaged over Christmas and my kids were less than thrilled, my daughter especially. She feels her dad made a major life decision without even talking to them about it first. My ex called me yesterday saying that he's giving me a heads up that I have a year to change my last name back to my maiden name, as his fiancée is expressing her distaste and concern for her, and I to have the same last name when they get married. I told him we agreed in our divorce that I could keep his last name until I felt the need to change it, and that is what is listed in our paperwork. I also told him I don't want to have a different last name than our kids. He said I'm being unreasonable and refusing to see how this would make his fiancée uncomfortable. I told him I cannot see it from her side because I'm a grown-up and not an immature child like she is. He told me that I could ask anyone about this situation and everyone would agree with her, so then, am I the a-hole for refusing to change my last name to make her happy? And yeah, Ripe Stars, let me know in the comments what you think about this story. Is OP being the a-hole here or not? And honestly, I would say clearly OP is not the a-hole, and I don't know what is so important about a last name. I mean, is there anyone on Earth that does not have the same last name as another person? Is there such a thing as a unique last name? I really don't get it. Anyway, some comments said, tell him you will change it if you can change the kid's last name too. And OP answered, I did offer that as a solution and he completely lost it, saying that he's their dad and they deserve to have his last name. Yet when I said I wanted the same last name as our kids, he told me that was not a legitimate reason to not change it. Another user in the comments asked, does your ex know how the kids feel about his fiancé? OP answered, yes, I told him how my daughter felt after they got engaged, and his response was, their opinion does not matter, they will be grown and out of the house in a few years, so I'm not gonna put my life on hold for their opinion. Someone else was asking, is it a unique last name? And then OP answered, it's very unique, there are only 5 of us in our town with the last name, me, him and our 3 kids. Then someone else asked, what do your kids want? Have you asked them? OP answered, they all said they didn't want me to have a different last name than they do. Then more on why fiancé might not like her. OP said, all he has said is that I intimidate her and she has had issues with how often we talk. Mind you, our conversations are about the kids, what they have going on that week for sporting events and practices. I can tell him on Monday what is going that week and I still have to remind him the day off. She has asked that I communicate with her what the kids have going on, so I sent the info in a group text to them both. However, it still requires a phone call the day off to remind him. Why do you remind him? Because if I don't call to remind him, he forgets, which leaves our kids without their dad at their events or being left at school waiting for a ride from practice. And yes, I go to every single event the kids have, but that doesn't mean that they don't want their dad there also. Someone else said, you did not write this in good faith and want us all to hate her. Well, I was by no means trying to make anyone hate her, I was trying to put the full context of where things are currently at. I also don't hate her, my ex seems to be happy with her and that is what matters. My issue is her now trying to interfere with my personal life and dictate what I do. I also don't intend to share this post with him, it's simply me trying to figure out if I'm being unreasonable. Clarification, commenter said, F him and don't be intimidated by him or his too young fiancé. Out of interest, the use or non-use of the married name in divorce proceedings, is that common? Divorced one myself and it never even got mentioned. Then OP said, not sure if this is new or not, we agreed on everything in our divorce and we filled out the paperwork together. We now actually hired an attorney just to make sure everything was filed correctly, and the attorney had asked about my intentions for changing my name as he wanted to make sure it was documented correctly. Now, as an update, OP was voted not the a-hole by the Reddit community. The court has judged, so to say. Anyway, now another update to the story. Several of you have asked for an update on my ex-husband giving me a year to change my last name back to my maiden name because his fiancée was uncomfortable with her and I having the same last name. I tried to link the original post, but it's not allowing me to do so, and I'm not sure the best way to give an update. So I'll try this. To clarify, the reason he gave me a year is because they are getting married sometime next year and wanted my name changed prior to their wedding. Anyway, my ex called me yesterday and said that he had done a lot of research on ex-wives keeping the ex-husband's last name after a divorce. He stated that he did not realize how common this is, especially when there are children from the marriage. He also said this had been my last name for 17 years, my entire adult life has been with this last name, and I've built a career with it. He basically acknowledged that every reason I had to keep it was legitimate. He apologized for the way he initially approached me about changing my last name and explained that he's in a bad spot trying to make his fiancée happy. He also explained that she feels that by me keeping his last name must mean I'm still in love with him, and this is my secret way of assuring we end up together again someday. And here we have it, Ripestars, that's exactly what I thought. Secretly, his new fiancée is just jealous. That's what it seemed like to me from the beginning. Anyway, OP then said, I informed this was not nor will it ever be the case. And yes, I care deeply about him because I was married to him for 12 years and he's the father of my children. I want him to be happy in life. However, I fell out of love with him many years ago and that will not change. He said he informed his fiancée that he will not bring this up to me again, and if she didn't like it, the ball was in her court to decide if she wanted to continue their relationship. Thank you all for the kind feedback on my original post. I never expected this kind of response and an overwhelming amount of comments and advice. And now let's move on to the title story, but before we do, please don't forget to like the video and maybe even post some star emojis in the comments if you want to support me. Your support means the world to me and helps me tremendously. The title story is titled, Racist Karen Tries to Cancel My Hawaii Wedding Because I Am Japanese. I swear, if I ever must deal with a racist Karen ever again, I'm gonna lose it. This all happened recently, when I got married to my college sweetheart. We had dated for 2 years and finally tied the knot. I ended up proposing to her last summer. We had walked around a garden where I used to live when I was in college and I decided to propose to her because I love her. I want to be with her for the rest of my life, and it just so happened that her Karen mom decided to ruin our plans, and being Japanese did not help me one bit. For crying out loud, I did not think this was America. This Karen wanted to ruin my life from day one. My wife Jill was amazing, and she took it all very calmly. So this all went down last July. It was a few months before our wedding when her mom, aka the Karen, decided to break into our place and steal our stuff. I had my motorcycle that I had repaired out in the back and I was working on it. One day she comes over and knocks it over and tips it over and I start yelling at her. What are you doing? She says, you don't need this, it's childish. A real man doesn't ride a bike, it doesn't fit you very well. I scream back at her, that's my new motorcycle that I've been repairing all these months and you're gonna come over here and you're gonna ruin it? Get out of here. Jill came running outside. What's going on here? What are you two up to? And that's when all the racist slurs and BS started happening. She finally let it all out in a bolt of anger. At first I had no idea that this Karen, her mom, was entitled and angry and just plain hated me because I was Japanese. But honestly, I could see it in her eyes. She had a look of disdain and hatred towards me like no other. I felt like she was gonna slap me right then and there or send me to the grave any other way though. I was not gonna let her. I was going to propose and tie the knot, and so I did. I got on one knee and did it anyway. I could feel the hairs in the back of my neck rise because I knew that her mom did not like me at all, but I was proud. I was young and I was not gonna let anybody stand in my way, not even this Karen. When her mom found out about the engagement, she started calling us non-stop and blowing up Jill's phone. She even came and started banging on our door asking what was going on, and she demanded that we fess up and not go through with the engagement. By then, Jill was very disgusted, and I could tell she was super sad and felt wronged by her own mom. When Jill would tell her stuff about the wedding, the flowers, the cards, the invitations, the venue, she would call up those places and cancel it, claiming that it was Jill. We found out that we had ordered our wedding cake a few weeks before the wedding, and her mom decided to put an end to it by calling them and cancelling it. Can you believe that horse crap? The day of the motorcycle incident, though, was as absurd as ever. So she came over and tipped over my Kawasaki and damaged it, ruining the frame a little bit. I couldn't drive it after that and had to take it to a repair shop. I did not know she could be that belligerently evil, but she actually was. She started yelling threats and saying things like, "I hope you die if you ride that motorcycle. You don't deserve my daughter. How dare you propose to her if you are not fit for her, just as you are not fit to ride this motorcycle." She even gave me an inappropriate familial bow to indicate that she didn't care about me or my family or my line of heritage. I was disrespected and she was rude, and I felt like slapping her right then and there, but I remained silent and kept my tongue. She called me a Jap, which was the most heinous thing ever in my book. And after that, she really crossed the line and I almost went haywire on her. I said, "Get off my property right now. You're so disrespectful. You don't demand or deserve to be here. Get out now." And I yelled and she just stood there not wanting to move. Jill started crying and I went and consoled her, and that is when she lashed out at me and nearly pushed me to the ground. She screamed more, "You damn Jap, I will make sure you don't marry my daughter." "Well, I'll be damned if you do," I screamed at her. "Get out now." And she finally left. Before the wedding, her mother spread lies and rumors about me and my family to her family and others that Jill knew. She was trying to keep us from tying the knot and having the best day of our lives. We got a call one day from my mother asking what was going on because there was something going on with Jill's family that they did not like or did not perceive as truthful. I tried to explain it to my own mom, and it was something that the racist Karen just blurted out to them. Apparently, she got my parents' phone number and started making all these rude comments towards them and lies about what we had done, including having intercourse before marriage, running off together in the woods, and basically partying and drinking while we were in college, which is something that I've actually never done. It was devastating. My parents thought that I should not have married Jill. They were second-guessing the wedding all because of this angry Karen's behavior. Finally, the day of our wedding came. It was so beautiful. The weather was perfect in Hawaii. We had tons of flowers, handmade decorations, special handcrafted wood carvings set on all the tables, and photos of all the memories that we've had over the years, and I even got to give a speech. But sadly, something crazy happened, all because of this Karen and her rude and evil ways. When I went up to speak about Jill and our love for each other, this Karen had bottles of wine secretly stashed under the tables. She popped a cork and made a toast to everybody, thinking that everything was okay. But my family was against drinking and they didn't want anything to have to do with it. I told my family that there would be no booze, but she brought it in anyway. Either way, she basically got up on the stage, made a toast in a flippant and sarcastic and rude way. Everybody was shocked and there's gasps all around. I got up and made my speech. I would like to say that this is one of the best days of my life, and before you know it, the crazy Karen goes bonkers and spills a bunch of wine all over my white suit, spilling it everywhere like I'd just been punched in the face and blood was dripping down from my head. Well, except it was wine. Even more gasps abound. You know, some old lady in the back almost died of a heart attack. We thought she was a wedding crasher because nobody knew which side of the family she was from. I guess she just liked the booze. Good thing the wedding planner had backup suits. I raced towards the back of the groom's suite and grabbed an extra suit. The wedding planner patted me down and made sure everything was okay. I almost wanted to punch my fist in the wall, but I withheld my anger and stood my ground. While I was changing, I heard some chatter outside the door. It was the wedding planner and the venue manager talking. They are talking about Jill's mom and how she had confrontationally spilled the wine on purpose. I went out and saw what the confrontation was all about, and she showed me the video footage of the Karen spilling the wine everywhere and hiding it. She was busted, everybody was in shock. When I came back to the venue reception in neat and nice clothing, they oohed and ahed at me and said that I looked handsome and great and that my wife was more beautiful than ever. Even though she had tears running down her eyes, we decided to pull a fast one on her own mother. She was banned from the premises and we decided that day to go no contact with her. She had blamed us for all this stuff beforehand, trying to point the finger at us because of her racist tirade and her own evil intentions. We finally got married and went on an amazing honeymoon. When we got back, back, we received tons of notes and letters apologetically from both our families, but not her Karen mom. Her racist mother was ousted from our family and we went no contact with her for a very long time. We still have not talked to her until this day. We don't even really know what's going on with her. She has become completely estranged from our family, but it's brought some of our families and friends closer together than ever, and we talk and go on vacations every now and then and share the memories of our great wedding day. I'm just so happy to be married to the love of my life. And now let's move on to the next story. It starts like this. As a guy that is very clearly Indian, you can imagine that I get a lot of hate, especially in modern times in Pakistan. Most people play it off as something else or just try to be quietly racist towards me. Dirty looks crossing the street, etc. Karen on the other hand though, oh Karen has no issues flying her racism flag high in the air and being loud about it. This Karen tried to start a petition in the neighborhood to try and make certain requirements for people to live here. She cannot claim race specifically, but does tell people that with these new things, people of other races probably cannot afford to live here. She has no idea what my job even is, but being an investment banker, nothing she can do will make it financially too hard to live here. In fact, I was able to buy myself a beautiful new BMW. She seemed to take me getting a new car personally and had very strong opinions about it. She came to me and went on an absolute rant of how I was not allowed to have the car. I like to play this game where I push until the other person's prejudice about me is on full display. So with her ranting how I was not allowed to have a car this nice, I just kept pushing her for explaining it to me like I was stupid. She started talking about how her car was only a Honda and she worked much harder than me. Pushing further, she finally said that she deserved a better car than an Indian because I would probably just use it to Uber people and trick them. I knew that she was throwing a fit, but never expected her to actually call a friend that owned a towing company to have my car removed from my private property. Not to mention poorly towed because it got damaged during the process. You might think I know this because I had some hidden cameras or something catching it, but nope, I knew it was her because I saw the entire thing get posted to her very public Instagram page. Yeah, she was there and took an entire video of the car being towed. During the video claiming that this is what Indians in this country deserved because it would make us realize that we should leave the country. Then it got reposted to her public Facebook page where the comments continued to fly, with her praising herself for doing this, saying soon I would be gone and things would be better because of it. I have thick skin to the racism of people. You need to when you look like I do. Getting called out like that online and having my car damaged and taken away from me was something else though. That cut deep into me and I was hurt and a little scared because of what Karen did. I wanted to run and hide, but instead I found myself walking up to her to confront her about what she had done. I kept my phone in my pocket with the audio recording going just in case something happened. In this state, it is legal to record audio in a public place without the other person's consent or knowledge. Me, how could you do that and then post it online like it was funny? Karen, it was way more than funny. It was hilarious and should show everybody else from your dirty country what will happen if they come here. Me, I had every right to buy that car and park it in my driveway. You, on the other hand, decided to tow it away and destroy the paint shop. Then went and bragged about it behind a camera. Karen, it doesn't matter what I did to you. A judge would only see the color of my skin and realize that I'm right and you're wrong. Hell, he would probably give me your car if I just said it was mine and you stole it. Me, and maybe I can make sure that any place you try and get a job will see those videos you posted. You work with the school district, right? I'm sure they would love to know what kind of person is working for them. Karen, how dare you threaten me? She pulls out her phone and calls the cops, claiming that a crazy man has cornered her in the street and is assaulting her. Then she hangs up the phone and turns back to me with a crap-eating grin. Karen, now you're going to jail and get probably deported. Me, I'm not anywhere near you. I did not even touch you. Karen, that won't matter once I tell the cops that you threatened to assault me too. I knew that I had my recordings and decided to just wait until the police arrived so she could dig herself into a bigger hole. Letting her tell them everything she threatened to while I pulled another officer aside and played them the recordings. With her admitting what she had done to my car and even admitting her plan to lie in order to get me arrested. The officers talking to her had every intention of arresting me until they also heard what I had on my recording. I also pulled up the video of her towing my car with her racist comments, and it was enough for them to tell Karen that she was lying and I was not gonna get arrested for anything. She got so mad she attempted to start coming after me, clawing for the phone since it had the evidence against her. The police restrained her quickly and she was arrested on the spot. Calling the police when it is not an emergency and lying in order to get somebody arrested are both criminal offenses that you can be sure I was pressing charges on. Not to mention pressing charges for Grand Theft Auto, as I had proof that she stole my car. The video even gave me proof that it was damaged in her towing and not a prior condition of the car. Her friend was also gonna be charged for towing my car illegally, and her business got in a ton of trouble and almost shut down because of it. Back to Karen though, instead of trying to defend her actions in court, she felt it was best to try and attack me by claiming I was in this country illegally, making my money from driving a taxi and probably not even reporting my income. That was when she learned that I was born here and my job made it so I could afford one hell of an attorney. Due to the nature of the video, I even got hate crime added onto her list of charges. I wanted the money to get the paint job repaired on my car, and let me tell you that it was not cheap. Due to her actions though, I also filed for a restraining order that would keep Karen away from me. It was easily granted, and that was the last I had to deal with her. The other criminal charges were between her and the state, but since I still see her around, I guess she did not end up going to prison, unfortunately. And yeah, Ripe Stars, if you enjoyed the title story, please don't forget to like the video and maybe even post a comment if you want to support me. And now let's move on to the next pro-revenge story. Here is the backstory. I work as a full-time paramedic in a moderately busy service. Recently, we have had the pleasure, privilege and honor to be used as a taxi service for an extra special piece of crap who calls 911 with a variety of fake complaints so he can get a free ride from his home 20 miles away to the hospital, where he typically refuses to even go inside and then will simply walk down the street and buy heroin he then takes home and deals to all of his piece of crap friends. Now, I say free because an ambulance bill can range anywhere from between $500 to $1,000 depending on the nature of the call, miles driven, etc. One would think this is an expensive taxi ride, and it would be, except that this douche nozzle had flat out said to us on multiple occasions that he has no intention of ever paying his bill. And since he has Medicaid and has no medically necessary reason for going, we don't even get any money from insurance. So refuse to take him, right? Alas, if only it were that simple. For those who don't know, if you call 911 regardless of your complaint, heart attack or toe fungus, we have to transport you if you wanna go. A few weeks ago we went to pick this crap stain up when he called for chest pain. He is in his 20s, we get there and he is standing on his deck smoking a cigarette and laughing with a very unamused firefighter. We start talking to him, and when I ask him what he is hoping the ER will do for him today, his response is, dunno, get evaluated? Followed by a snarky laugh. Now, he legitimately does have a history of a recent infection in his heart from using so much heroin himself. However, he got booted out of the hospital that was trying to treat him when they caught him sneaking out to buy heroin and then using and dealing from his room. So now fast forward back to the present. We, one of my partners and I, took him a couple of weeks ago to a different hospital than he usually goes to after a big long argument with him about his frequent trips and the fact that he has been sometimes refusing to even go inside the ER, telling crews that the nurses are mean to him, he doesn't feel safe, etc. and so forth, before walking out of the ambulance down the street to buy drugs. When I brought this up to him, he got super pissy, accusing me of not believing that he is sick, which I don't because he isn't, and mistreating him because he is an addict and blah blah blah. On a whim, I called the hospital he's been using as his designated go-to right down the road from his suppliers, and I got a doctor who knew exactly who he was and what his bullcrap ankle is, and he told us to leave his ass there and not transport him. When he was informed of this, he lost his mind, yelling and flipping furniture over and having an all-around very amusing temper tantrum before slamming the door to his house. Now the revenge. My partner I was working with that day told me that while I was on the phone with the hospital, he went inside his house and came back out stuffing a knife in his pocket. I called our dispatch as well as supervisor and told them about the douche canoe, his temper tantrum, and the knife. They called the sheriff's department, who also dispatched the fire department, and they put him on a house watch. What this means is that from now on, any time that he calls 911, neither us nor the fire department will come until the police have gone first, regardless of what he is calling for. Additionally, we talked with our medical director, and he is now on a call before you haul list, meaning anytime he wants a ride to the hospital, we can call a doctor and get permission to refuse to transport him, even if he is requesting, or in this case, demanding transport. And yeah guys, if you cannot get enough of my content, please don't forget to check out my podcast by searching for Ripestories on all major podcast platforms such as Spotify, Apple or Google Podcasts. Furthermore, you can find bonus content by going to patreon.com/ripeyoutube or by clicking the join button here on YouTube. For a small monthly fee, you will get access to dozens and dozens of exclusive videos you won't find anywhere else. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again tomorrow.